We'll follow the process. Joe McKenna with that report. Outspoken Aboriginal leader Noel Pearson wonders why the Howard government would consider importing guest workers from other countries to fill unskilled labour shortages here when there are thousands of unemployed Indigenous Australians who might be harnessed. Pearson has long been engaged in a range of programs designed to break the classically dysfunctional cycle in his own Cape York community and, by extension, offer hope to other depressed and welfare-dependent communities around the country. For 3 months now, he's watched quietly from a distance as 16 young community members have worked as fruit pickers in South Australia's Riverland and the Sunraysia district of Northern Victoria in a pilot program supported by the federal government. Murray McLaughlin joined Noel Pearson and the young workers for this report.
This is the first full-time job that Caspar Abai has ever had. And if he can pick oranges at this pace all week, he could make $1,000. 20 years old, he's from Cape York. For the past 3 months, he's been fruit picking at Waikerie in South Australia's Riverland, one of 16 Indigenous young people from the Cape who are experiencing real work for the first time.
Some of them had behavioural problems, petrol sniffing and offending. But what's important is that they are second or third generation welfare dependents. No experience in their families of work. There's no work history.
Oh, that means I can have the day off tomorrow then, eh?
If you do well today, you don't think about having tomorrow off.
Milton James grew up in an orchard near here and went on to become a social worker.
The idea is to keep your money going up, not up, down, up, down.
He's worked on Cape York with these young men and has moved south with them to oversee their introduction to the world of work.
Plan for the possibility that you'll have bad weather tomorrow, and so the picking's got to stop. On Cape York, it's like a dream world up there. You know, there's no sense of the real world. There's no real economy.
That dream world is Noel Pearson's country. He's the Indigenous leader on Cape York, recently appointed by the Howard government to advise on welfare policy.
We've also got an olives grower who's interested in taking on some of these lads.
Yeah.
It's Pearson's mission to jolt young people on the Cape out of a culture of welfare dependency. And he's down on the Riverland to check on Milton James's young charges.
I don't think it's healthy for young people to stew in their own dysfunctional communities. You know, they got to get out and come back with some skills and come back with some experience. And I can envisage the day when these young fellas spend 9-10 months down here, 2 months back in Cape York hunting. Yeah, keep their culture going, keep their family connections going, but when they want money in their pockets, they hit the road. You know.
In desert country around the town of Waikerie, there are more than 5,000 hectares of orchards and vineyards. Waikerie has a population of 5,000, and there was some disquiet around town when the young men from Cape York arrived.
Like small communities anywhere, they're a bit unsure about new people in town, they're a bit worried, and these guys look a bit different to the normal pickers we see in the area. We don't normally see these people. I'll just get you to check the oil and go down and...
Steve White is a small-time farmer at Waikerie, and he's employed some of the Cape York workers. He says early apprehensions have evaporated over the past 3 months.
People are quite impressed with them. Yeah, they think they're good lads and they're out there doing it, and people will at the end of the day take their hat off to them, you know, if they actually get out there and do the work, and that's what they're doing.
Over the border in Victoria, there's another small group of first-time workers from Cape York. They are picking table grapes at Robinvale, and here too they've been welcomed.
It's an exciting experiment to be involved in, and there's a lot of potential out there with the young guys.
Chris Andriolis manages the family vineyard at Robinvale. Like farmers at Waikerie, he too confronts constant labour shortages.
We've got a staff here of about 18 or 20 at the moment. We can probably cater for another 15 or 20, and that's on this particular property.
As short as labour is in this district, Chris Andriolis does not want to resort to importing foreign labour.
In a place like Robinvale, thriving industry, not enough workers, they should be supplied from within Australia, you know. If we've got a work shortage in places like Cape York, and they've got a worker shortage down here, we should provide the workers, you know.
The orange picking trial at Waikerie has thrown up some basic lessons about human
Oh
behaviour.
yeah, like when we first started, we actually worked together as a team,
Yeah,
and there was about 10 of us, and
yeah.
then after a while, like it never made any sense when we were all working together. When the hard workers had to work harder, and the lazier became lazier. And
Casper
that the
Abai was
hardest part
first
that
to
we
split
had
off from the group.
deal with, and
The others soon
then after a
followed,
while,
and it was then
we
each
came
to
up
his
with a
own.
sense of-
Casper first realised that, you know, the aim in this game is to fill as many bins up in the day as possible, you know, because there's a return for that. The wider world unconsciously operates on those principles. People who've been living on passive welfare have not been living in that kind of, on those principles, you know. And I think that bringing these young people out of the communities has enabled them to experience these principles, you know.
There's now a competition to set new records. Each of these bins holds half a tonne of oranges, worth $22.50 to the picker. The young mob from Cape York is now managing up to 7 bins a day each.
How much you up to, Joseph?
7.
7 bin.
Yep.
Right.
This is your true.
Yeah.
This is your 7.
Every week you keep hearing how they've just gone increased a little bit more and a little bit more, and the excitement that creates is within the group is pretty good and pretty special in itself.
Tim Michael is 17 years old, and today he's on his way to picking 4 bins before lunchtime. To Noel Pearson, Tim Michael's performance provides another lesson from this trial.
Every year you have these young fellas on a Centrelink program is making the road to self-reliance that much harder to climb, you know?
So grab them early.
You got to grab them instantaneously.
What do you reckon that it's taught you working here?
Taught me how to look after yourself, like when you start off like a new job or something. Yeah, you gotta get money to pay for your house, all your arrangements gotta be set out. Just taught me a lot about how work should really be about.
Of the 16 who began this trial, a quarter have fallen off and gone back home. As the trial nears its end, the stayers are weighing their options, and many of them want to stay on.
I want to save up. I want to get a new car, and well, there's actually a couple of boys that actually want to get a new car. It's basically, if you work hard enough, you could earn enough money, and the boys could see that they have an opportunity of staying in town here for a while.
You know, the fact that they've chosen to stay on beyond the 3 months, they want to stay here until the season's over, they're really underlining for me the opportunity here.
Bit of a message there perhaps for a few other areas with labour shortages and a few other communities with high unemployment. Murray McLaughlin with that report. And now the $1 million plus hunt for the elusive, if not non-existent, Tasmanian tiger. Kerry Packer's Bulletin magazine has offered a massive reward for anyone who can find a purebred tiger. But the small print, and it is very small, runs to thousands of words of conditions. And the Tasmanian government has thrown in a hitch of its own. To join the latest hunt for the mythical creature and qualify for the prize, hunters have to be armed with a legal permit. But the Tasmanian government says it won't be issuing permits to bounty hunters, fearing they'll wreak havoc on the Apple Isle. Jocelyn Nettlefold reports.